It's fun because it worked out really well too, because I didn't have to change anything from the last show on what we have. You know what I mean? Like the background.
Yeah, that's
Background just
good.
kind of stayed the same.
Cool.
Okay. No, it's not going live yet, so hold on one second.
It's hot in here, right?
Is it? Is your air conditioning fixed?
It is fixed, but I think I have it too. Hold on, let me. It's just here. It's at 75. Is it live?
It says that we are. It says we're live on Twitch. We're live on Periscope.
Oh, well, hello, Periscope.
But it's not going live on Paranormal Warehouse.
I wonder why.
I don't know what's going on. It says it's offline. I have everything correct. I don't know what's going on. Sorry, guys. For all those that are waiting, I'm going to try one more thing here. Hold on.
Okay.
And
Give it a shot.
save. And I'm going to restart all the platforms and see if that changes.
Maybe it will. Hey, Mama. How's it going? Good.
So odd. We have 8 people watching on Periscope. We have people watching on YouTube.
So we already have people watching on Periscope and YouTube, but we got to get the Facebook one going.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck is going on. It's so weird. I'll try it one more time. Let's see here. Copy this. Put it over here. Boom. Boom. Copy this. Put it over here. All these codes we got to put in, guys, to like get Facebook to recognize the video when we're streaming it. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
It's not working?
Please restart your broadcast to apply the changes.
Okay.
All right, here we go. All right, so I guess we're going to stop this broadcast and come back in, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to stop, and then I will start it back up again and see what
Get them back in there.
All right, so we are live. It's searching for data. And let's see, please work. We are live on Facebook. Yes, okay, good.
Yay! We're live now. Hey guys, welcome. It's Tuesday. You guys know what that means when it's Tuesday. Phenomenal Encounter Tuesday. We're here on Paranormal Warehouse with you guys. We've got another great show. Once again, we've got Phil Siracusa. He's our guest again. He is author and homeowner of the Horsefly Chronicles Case Files house, and him and his wife and his kids, they live in this house that has a lot of activity, and it's not friendly. It's nothing pleasant. It is very intense, very heavy, and the reason why we invited him back on to our show, if you guys remember the last time he was on, he was sharing with us his story. He was sharing with us how it started, how it all began, how it affected him, how it affected his wife, just everything that they've gone through. And it's a kind of stuff that we like to talk about here on Phenomenal
And it was
Encounter.
also a precursor to you guys investigating there.
Yes, it was a precursor.
Precursor.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you guys, I mean, this show pretty much, I didn't know. I thought, where am I going to begin with this show? Because there's just so much to talk about, so little time and so much to talk about. And, well, the first thing I want to begin with,
tell everybody, make sure that you tell everybody to share. Do all the basics first. I know you're excited, Denise, but we got to get through the basics. Share.
You interrupted me because I was about to say the first thing I want to start with is to tell you guys. The first thing I want to start with is to tell you guys to share. And if you're watching on Periscope, give us lots of super hearts, lots of likes, lots of hearts. YouTube, same thing. Like it, share it.
Hashtag
Facebook,
pickle, hashtag John Wilkes Booth in the chat for her.
Yes, all that fun stuff. And of course, Dan, I want you to, give us your little intro. What have you been up to today? We'll get into all that. I'm just really excited because there's so much to talk about, and I can see in Phil's face too. He's like, yeah, I know he's had some stuff going on, and I want to give everyone an opportunity to hear. Those of you that are like, well, who is this? Who are they talking about? What Horsefly Chronicles?
Yeah, we should definitely get the basics.
Get the basics, because I know not everyone was in here the last time. So before we introduce our guest, Dano, I know you were on the show previous to this one earlier.
Yeah, I was on the show previous to this one. Got really dug into some of the cool things that have been happening with Hinsdale House, some of the kind of the new things, events that we've come up with, and just kind of diving into the history and theories, and it was fun. It was a great show. Those that listened.
Cool. Awesome. And what else have you been having going on?
I just had a magnificent weekend in Mansfield, Ohio, at the where they filmed Shawshank Redemption at the Ohio State Reformatory. I was with Gavin Kelly and Paula. There's so many people there. Glider was there. Mike Ricksetter was there. We had Steve Gonzalez. We had Amy Bruni, Chip Coffee. I mean, it was fun, and we had a great investigation on Saturday night of the. It was cool to actually be in there at night and be able to investigate with folks and really dive in. And we were contracted to leave at midnight, and I stayed till 2 with everybody, going around and investigating. And
I'm not surprised.
I picked up a lot of cool stuff there. You felt a lot of sorrow. We kept repeatedly getting on the ghost box. I'm sorry. What would you like us to tell people? We're sorry. They just wanted to be forgiven. For what they did. There was one though that was a complete asshole. Show me your boobs. We were with we had females. Suck a dick. I probably shouldn't even say that. But the bad things they were saying. I was like, wow, this is crazy.
That is crazy that he was saying all that bad stuff. That's crazy. It's insane. Wow. So, yeah. I mean, and we've been having a lot of things going on. We've been doing some stuff on our end, too. The last investigation we did was over at Phil's house, the Horsefly Chronicles house. And this is where I'm going to segue into introducing our wonderful guest, Phil Siracusa. Here you have the opportunity, Phil, to tell everybody, say hi to everyone, tell everyone who you are and what you're all about.
Yes, first, thanks for having me back. You have a great show. And once again, my name is Philip Siracusa. I'm the author of the Horsefly Chronicles and the owner of the home. This is a haunted case. This is a very bad case. And it's my mission, because we live this life, myself and my family, to prove to the world that it exists. And how I do that is within the paranormal community to come down, do their research, document it, and let's prove the evidence to the world and show everybody what we're getting. Because it's hard, like I said in the last show, to believe one man's story or one man's experience, because there's so much that goes on here. So why not have the best of the best and expose it? It's like I call it exposing the devil, right? If I'm going to be a haunted man, I'm going to prove to the world that I'm haunted. Yeah. And my family goes through this. And that's where we are today. So, and thank you so much for coming down here. It was great. I was really glad you just came down.
Yeah, and, thank you for having us. It was
very intense.
Yes, it was. It was very intense. I think there was a lot of questions that were answered for several people, for Amanda too, in her own experiences that she had. And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about the investigation that we did live from Phil's house. Chris and myself and Mama Moon have another show that we film live, do live investigations called Ghost Box Chronicles, and that's the synchronicity in itself, because our show is the Ghost Box Chronicles and Phil's book is the Horsefly Chronicles. So it was just cool to have. I remember I had made the banner saying Ghost Box Chronicles investigates the Horsefly Chronicles.
Yeah, that's odd to have the two chronicles in one building, right?
Yeah, two chronicles in one building.
Because it's not a word that's used too much.
No, it's not. It really isn't. So that was a synchronicity all in itself, and was crazy because when we went down there, for those of you that don't know, like I said, we went down there, we filmed, and it was something that was on my mind weeks before we even got there. I mean, we knew we were going to be going weeks ahead, and I was thinking about it a lot, and I think it was just because, and I tried not to learn too much or read too much into what had happened, and I didn't. It was just thoughts would come to me like, be careful, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was my guides telling me that we were going to have to be careful. I don't know, but there was something that kept whispering to me that we were going to have to take caution. I kept hearing, take caution. And then when we had you on Phenomena Encountered and you told us the story and the way it affected you, I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I've been feeling this way, because I hadn't heard any of that. So when we went there, we definitely felt what you had been talking about, and it was once we got into the basement that's where the energy shifts, and that's just what, I would, anyone that goes there, I would definitely say just pay attention to the way the energy shifts between the living room upstairs and the basement. Pay attention to how the energy shifts, because it's very intense and very obvious. But yeah, I mean, Phil, one thing that I want to touch on and what I want to talk about is you had said that many people have gone there, energy shifts between trying to investigate.
Yes.
And can you explain to us the different experiences that you've noticed when you've tried to sort of compare different experiences? What have you seen that's been different or the same between everyone that's gone to your place to investigate?
Well, what's interesting is that almost everybody, as soon as they walk into the foyer, the first thing they do is look up towards the second floor, the banister area. Mm-hmm. And, I don't say much. I just want to observe. And they look up and they say that they feel a presence, and just like yourself, mm-hmm. And I don't want to give too much of it, but that's what they feel, as soon as they walk in the home. And then we would, most of the people have sit down at the dining room table so we can meet, greet, talk, and all that good stuff, and, get on with the investigation. And then I do a simple walkthrough, and I watch people, how they react. Some people, some teams, right off the bat, they get very dizzy before they even enter the basement. Other people are just okay, they're fine. And then, the last thing we do is we go down the steps of the basement, and I hear most people from teams say, okay, I could start to feel like I'm walking into a pool, like this energy's different now. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you turn the corner and you're completely in the basement, it's wow. It's totally different. This is what they tell me, right? Mm-hmm. And they get affected different. Some people, right off the bat, they just don't feel good. Some people feel welcomed. Some people feel very drained immediately. And, it's different for everybody. There's been so many teams here. And I have to say, Denise, that you and Chris and Shadows, Ben, you did such an intense investigation, because a lot of my questions were answered mm-hmm. when you came, And that's why I was asking you as you were doing the walkthrough. I says, Denise, tell me what you feel when you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And you were just dead on with what you were saying. What you felt in the home. And it wasn't up until later on in the night, of course, that things always get sour. And that seems to
Yes.
be the history here, that the teams, they'll set up, they'll start the investigation, then hours in, it's like, okay, now you're on my territory, meaning
Mm-hmm.
the entities say that,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's game on.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what happened. I think those of you that watched the episode, first of all, if you haven't watched it, please go back and check it out. It's on the Spirit Realm Network's Facebook page. Little plug there. On our Facebook page, just go look for that video. And it's the longest one. There's three different videos from your location, but it's the longest one. I believe it's the second attempt that we made. That's the longest one. And if you guys watch that from beginning to end, you'll see all the crazy things that transpired and that took place. And you'll see one of the investigators, which is Amanda. She's in the chat room, Amanda East. Hi, Amanda. She's in there right now. She got affected, and it affected her emotionally and through her feelings, through her emotions. She began while we were in, and it didn't happen until we were in the portal room. When we were in the portal, well, actually, no, she felt like she wanted to cry in the front part of the basement. But when we got in the portal room, it affected her with anger. She got angry, and she said, I feel really angry. She wanted to punch a wall.
Was it evident on the video as this was going on, like it was starting to overtake her thoughts?
Yes, it was. It was. Chris started to notice it. We all started to notice it. It didn't completely overtake because she was able to say, guys, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. And she said, I want to punch a wall. She was like saying it like that. Like she was just clenching her fist and she wanted to punch a hole through a wall. It wasn't until later, Phil, that Amanda and I made the realization after the investigation. We were talking afterwards. We're like, oh my God, wait a minute. That makes sense that she got filled with that rage and with the feeling of wanting to punch a wall. Because I remember you said that your son had punched holes in the wall.
Wow, yes. We had to redo the whole basement. It was destroyed.
Yeah. You said he had punched holes in that wall and you felt he was affected. And I was like, wait a minute. Afterwards, I said, whoa. You said you felt like you wanted to punch a hole in the wall. She's like, yeah. And I said, didn't he say his son destroyed, he had to redo it because his son punched holes in the wall? She was like, oh my God, you're right. So that led me to believe, that whatever's there, it picks an individual and fills them with such rage and frustration that they want to lash out and they want to destroy, be destructive,
And is that normal? Is that normal with other teams that have been there too? Has it affected other people in that nature, including your family, right?
Yeah, like I won't go. You stay in there too long, you feel upset, and then you start to get angry at nothing.
Wow.
And evil.
Like suppression.
It is true. It's true. When I was doing the walkthrough, this is before we filmed anything, and I was doing the walkthrough and I was walking around, he says, Denise, I want you to start talking and tell me what you feel. And as I went down into the basement, I just started talking, and everything I was saying afterwards, after I finished just talking out loud, saying I'm feeling, and I was saying all those things, I said, I'm okay. I feel heavy. I said, now I'm starting to get filled with frustration. Now I feel like and everything I was saying is like, yeah, that's exactly what happens. If his son would spend too much time down there, he would get frustrated and feel he couldn't complete and that's what I said. I feel like if I'm down here, I can't do anything. I can't see things through. I can't complete projects. I was saying that, and he's like, wow. He's like, my son can't complete his projects down here. If he tries to work on music or do something, he can't. And it was just amazing because everything that he told me after was like, that's exactly what I felt. And it's the reason why I felt it is because it's the energy down there. The energy down there is if you're sensitive, especially, you're going to feel that. You're going to soak that up, and that's what's going to come through. And it just made me think afterwards, and right before we started filming, I said this to Phil, it made me think afterwards, like, I don't know how. My heart went out to you and your family. I said, how you guys have lived with that for so long, because it's it's rough. I mean, tempers must be through the roof. And then that's when you said that a lot of times they are with the boys. The tempers
Yes.
are through the roof. So it's and I can see why after being there.
How long does it normally affect somebody? So I mean, obviously you give warnings, you tell people before they go in this room that this is something that could possibly occur. What type of steps do you tell people to do that are going to enter this portal room, or this room that has all this oppression feeling in it?
I tell them to act very passive. Just try not to feed into it. Don't feed into it. Go in there with just clear your thoughts, but don't feed into whatever's there. And just go observe, and that's the best method. We've had people that have done silly things that went in there with crosses and started throwing holy water, and it got violent very quickly.
Pissed it off even more, huh?
Oh, yes. And a lot of people say, well, maybe it's just a person's imagination, right? So, I'm going to let Denise get into it, but then we have Chris Moon's equipment in there, right? And validating what's going on in that room.
Oh, God, yeah. Mm-hmm. That stuff really was just validating everything as it was happening. The things that would come through was matching up with. It was just crazy. It was it. And honestly, Dan, if you go there and you go into that room, it does feel like a vortex in that room. It's just so crazy. It's crazy. It's like I thought, well, the energy should be the same in that room as it is out here, and it gets more intense in that room.
I know the energy he's talking about, because at the Hinsdale house there's this darker energy that comes out sometimes, and I tell people, I go outside, get away from it, don't acknowledge it, try to stay as grounded as possible. But it's not there all the time. It's not like what he's saying, where it's there, it's in this room, and it's just going to affect you. It's just hanging out in this room for some reason, and it's kind of weird. It's kind of crazy to think about. Why is it there? It makes me just want to know the answers. Did you guys come up with anything interesting that when you were using the ghost box, or that may give it to some reasoning as to why it was there, or what's going on? Or because I didn't get to see the show, so
yeah, we did come up with some, not just through the box but through psychic impressions. There was definitely something, and we won't go into
right, you want people to go watch it. I understand. It's
yeah. And Phil, before we filmed this, we had a conversation with him, and Chris did feel it was like something was done here, and then we kind of put those pieces together, right, Phil? And we knew something was done here. Something was done to open that up more than what it already was. It's already there. There's already something there, but there was something done there, and we were able to verify and validate that, yes, definitely something was done that just intensified it. And now it's one of those things, it's been intensified. And another thing that came through the box, and it was very validating, because I felt this before we turned on the box. So did Chris. We talked about it before we filmed the show. And then when we turned on the box, it came through that it's so weird. It honestly, Dan, it's like it becomes alive down there. It really does become alive, and people are going to keep going there. They are. Whether or not Phil moves out of there, people are going to keep going. It came through the box already. This energy brings people, and that's what keeps it going.
Is it trying to feed off energy? Is that?
Yes, it's like we're the batteries for it. Mm-hmm. I got very cocky in that room, and I wasn't paying attention.
That's normal.
No. Here, what I mean is, I knew it, and I told him. I said, "Listen," I said, "if I didn't know any better, because I was speaking what I was feeling, and I said, I don't want to leave. I feel like I can stay here and I'll be fine." And then I looked at the camera. I said, "But if I didn't know any better, I would listen to that. I've been doing this for a long time. My guides are telling me, whoa, don't." And I used that as a teaching moment. And I told people that were watching, I said, "Listen, I'm the only reason why I'm voicing it is to let you guys know that if I didn't know any better, I would fall into this trap. But right now, at this moment, I feel like I'm fine. I want to be here. I wanted to, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to listen. I'm going to get up and I'm going to, listen to my guides, and I'm going to protect myself and surround me." But that's how strong it is.
And that's what it does. It'll wait until your guard is down, and then boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it definitely, if I wouldn't have known any better, I would have stayed in that room and I probably would have told them, I want to do an EVP session by myself. You guys leave me, close the door. I would have because I wanted to, but I knew, I was like, this is a trick.
Yeah.
Like, if I wouldn't have known any better, I would have listened and, I'll be fine. But that's why I took that moment. I said, guys, I feel like I can take on the world, but I know that's not the case,
Well, I'm glad you played it safe, I mean,
yeah.
Getting answers and doing it sanely is probably the most important thing than, taking it on one-on-one, Denise.
Yeah.
I'm sure Phil's already tried that a couple times. Didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work. In fact, I had investigators argue with me. They wanted to be in there alone. And I said, all right, you sure about this? And we'd be upstairs, and we weren't here for them for like 20, 25 minutes. And sure enough, they were out like a light.
Wow.
Past that. And it's hard to get them back up again. And once we get them back up, we have to get them out of the house. And the first thing they say is, what happened to me? What happened?
Wow.
And then some people leave with a mark, which we're going to talk about. But that happened that night.
Something interesting happened, Dan, during the filming while we were doing the investigation. Somebody else that was there that wasn't actually actively investigating got attacked. I don't remember his name, Phil. Can you talk about that? Tell the viewers what happened.
Yeah, his name is Ricky. He's really not a believer in paranormal. He wants to believe, but he really doesn't. And he wanted to come here with his wife, and they were in the basement, and just like bystanders, just to watch the investigation because they're intrigued. But maybe I believe, maybe I don't. And he didn't want to be on film or anything. And then it wasn't up until the last half hour, and Chris Moon is filming, and the guy goes, I have a deep scratch. Look at this, and there's a mark on me.
Mm-hmm.
And we all walked over to him, and there was this red scratch with a mark. And it goes to show you now, Chris Moon had the box running, and now a prior in the portal, and it says the mark.
Wow.
That's right.
It said it. And so here's how this works. I always talk about this on shows, is that they're so far advanced, right? Entities. I don't give them credit, but they are advanced, right? They've been here way, way before we can even think. So they already know what's going to happen. They already know what they're going to do. They already know how to plan it. And that's what they do. And they always seem to find one person. And every team that has been here, this one person that gets affected more than everybody else. It could be 10 people. It'll just pick the one. On every single, out of 50 investigations, it always gets that one person out of each team. And I get the calls later or the email like, I'm followed home. There's something not right here. And I know that's what it does, right? So, Denise, when you were in the portal and you felt like you could have stayed there, that's what it does. Some people say, oh, wow, I don't feel anything. It actually feels good in here, right? It's the devil's trick. And it wants you in there. And the more you're in there alone, it consumes your energy, fills your thoughts with negative energy and oppression, slowly takes you over, not possession, but it'll slowly take you over, and you'll become it. In the vengeance and the rage that it has. It has a rage to it. This is not a friendly thing. This is something that's very evil and destructive at the same time. And it will single people out. Who? I don't know. But it always singles somebody out.
And you have never gotten any answers as to who or what this thing is at this point?
Denise?
Yeah, we did that day. It kept over and over and over. Basically, himself, the main one. It kept referencing in different ways. It said devil. It said some through the box. Some call me devil, and then it said some say Satan. And then it said a demon name, and then it just kept saying him, and that word kept coming through, and that's when you said, Phil, I know who he's talking about. It's him. It's Yeah, that's what it was. It was creepy the way that kept coming through.
So Denise, let me ask you a question. Um, you've been to the Horsefly Chronicles home. You've been in the portal. What do you feel like? Why do you feel like we're dealing with this? Why this land, this home?
Um, the things that I've felt before and even after, definitely, there was there was a spiritual fire started there. There definitely was. Um, I also get that. I agree, and I remember it came through that, but even before that, there was. I don't know if there was like some sort of an invocation, something.
In the house as it currently stands, this is, or was it prior? Do you think?
I feel like both, like it was prior, and then more fuel added to the fire after. And now, when Phil went in there, he is I hate to say this, but and you'll probably agree with me when I say this, you're a conductor of that energy.
Yes.
I can feel it around you when I would walk with you. And please, I don't want people to think, I'm not saying Phil's a bad person or Phil is, no, that's not what I'm saying. I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm saying. But there's something about you, your aura, and it gets it going. Do you know what I mean?
I would definitely agree with that.
I don't know if it's karmic connections, past life, soul fragments, but there really is something that I want to suggest to you that you do, and really go into a past life regression, and you're going to be surprised to some of the things you find out.
So, you know what, Denise? I'm glad you said that, because I have asked many people. I wanted it done in person, and I've been turned down. They won't do it.
Uh-huh.
The only person that did attempt, I lived in New Jersey back in 2002, and I had a fitness center, and this lady was a member, and we got into a talk, and she said she would do it for me. And she, at the end of the night, I went to this place, and I lay down, and she started speaking very fast, like in tongues. And I felt the evil that you're talking about, that attaches.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it. And then she was getting scared, and a month later she took her life.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's
Wow.
so sad. Now, I just want to also let the viewers know if they have any questions. There's a couple of people on YouTube that were wanting to know if they could ask questions. Hassan, yeah, feel free, guys. Ask questions. We can ask them while Phil's on the air here. If you have questions after we get off there, feel free to hit up Denise, Phil, whoever you have the question for. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to answer it. I know it's such an interesting place. So.
Yeah, I want to mention a comment by Candace. Candace Chu, she says, I still feel like it's tied to the land property. I agree with her. I do agree. I do agree that it's there on the land, and this is the reason why Phil was brought there. It happened that way. It was like it wanted someone like Phil there.
Yeah,
I really do.
Similar to me. I think he was probably put there for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't know. It's like part of me says, I feel like you gotta go and not be there, but then I feel like if you go, it would be out of control. Like as much as you're a conduit and a conductor, I feel like you also somehow are able to contain it. It's weird. The visions I've had from afterwards, you belong there, not because, and like I said, I'm not saying Phil is evil or he's part of the dark. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, well, it's just like Dan says, the way the house chose him, and he sort of has become that caretaker. I feel that for you too, Phil. But it's almost like I feel like there's got to be another way too, because it's affected you guys so much. But at the same time, I feel like you've sort of found a way to coexist with it. And And after doing the investigation, what we got from it, first of all, Chris and I were like, well, this was just a preliminary. Not everything was answered. And as you know, Dan, when you go to these investigations, sometimes you think you're going to come back with some answers, and then you end up coming out of an investigation with more questions.
Yeah.
More questions than you had at the beginning. That's sort of what happened to us. And believe it or not, we want to go back. Because
I believe it. Because you guys aren't ones to leave things unturned.
No.
Now, Bonnie on YouTube said that Phil was picked as the guardian of the location.
I agree.
Yep.
I agree. I see that. And I do feel that it's tied to the land. I do feel that in through the years, you've been wanting to find some sort of resolution, some sort of solution, some sort of calming, some way that you can stabilize it. You've been trying to look for answers, solutions, things you could do. And some of the things that haven't turned out as well. Some, and it happens, some people come through, they do things, then they leave and they make it worse. And then some people come, it happens. And I do feel that has happened because it was the will of that entity that's there, wants more people to keep coming, because it feeds off of all that energy. There's a lot of different things going on there. And another thing I felt immediately when I walked in the house, and it also came through the box, was I said, okay. Now, besides this dark entity, besides the demonic presence, besides the evil because it does feel oppressive and evil. Besides that, I looked and I said, and I remember we were sitting down at the table and I said, can I ask you guys something? But I don't know if I should ask. And then Julia said, just ask. And I could feel it. I said, do y'all have alien activity? And then both of you smiled and laughed and you were like, yeah. And I'm like, I felt it. I knew it. I felt it. And that's another thing that they've got going on there. And so can you imagine just the two different things happening, like two plates spinning, two different types of paranormal phenomena happening in one home? That's a definite vortex there. And it's going to take more investigations of the place to find out why. And is because there's a vortex, because it's tied to the land, because there's something going on there, some sort of energy field that we can't see, that all these things are attracted to.
Have you looked at ley lines or anything like that to see if possibly there's a conduit of some kind there, or what this energy?
They're all ley lines. I had somebody do the research a couple of years ago, and they go right underneath the ground.
So the house is sitting on ley lines.
Yes.
That explains a lot. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
it definitely gives evidence to some theories, possibly, of why it could be there, or why it feels comfortable there. Doesn't want to give up the energy. That source that's there.
Yeah, Chris was saying, Chris Mooney said it's coming from the ground, and I believe that it's coming from the ground up. Like I could almost guarantee that which is not going to happen, if we dug a couple 100 feet down in this basement, it's just going to get strong, very, very strong. Like you're getting closer to the core of it, and it's shooting straight up right through the house. And a lot of people laugh. Come on, alien activity and ghost activity. And it's funny because I would say the same thing if I was watching somebody else's show. I'd be like, yeah. But there were a couple of time lapses here that are unexplainable. Mm-hmm. And a couple of pictures that we do have that they don't look right. And Denise, I sent you something. I don't know if you got it through Messenger, but it was some kind of radio frequency down here. This is a quote a few years ago. And it's like as if you're hearing people talk, but from a different frequency. It's not. It's just coming from far away, but it's here. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and it's really creepy if you think about it. It's you could have so many different things going on there. Maybe even interdimensional type of. It's just. You feel it. I mean, when we look down when we were in the main basement room area, Chris looked down and he says, "Oh my God, that area in the floor looks digitized. It looks pixelated." And I looked and I stared and I said, "Oh my God, it does." When you look at another area, it didn't look like you could see energy waves. You could see, and they looked pixelated. It looked digitized. And then the weirdest thing happened in one of the videos. You see Chris runs through that section, and he pixelates. The rest of the picture doesn't. He pixelates, and you hear Chris say, "Hope everyone can see me," and then he just appears like Scotty from Star Trek.
Wow.
That was that was crazy. That was I watched it about 50 times trying to figure that one out because no one else pixelated. He pixelates as he's walking through that spot. That was weird. What do you make out of that?
Yeah, what do you think about that, Dan?
I mean, I think definitely there had to be some type of energy source there to make that happen. Maybe he was walking through some type of field of some kind. Who knows? Hey, I got a question for you, Phil. Obviously, there's some newer viewers, ones that didn't see the last show, and maybe some that aren't familiar with the whole story. I have Sally Harrow said, very active place. Sorry, did this start as soon as you moved into the house? And I know that we know that answer, but just for the people that haven't really heard the whole story of this place, that are interested in knowing some of the answers from when we talked last time, she wanted to know if this had started in the house as soon as you moved in.
Well, I've always had an attachment since childhood in New York, where I lived. But when we bought the home in 2010, it was just totally different. It was an attachment on steroids. It was just multiple things that were making us all like wondering if we're all going crazy in this house, after the first 6 months. And so that's usually where it started, like in 2010. And then this energy got stronger. It wanted to be known. I wasn't into paranormal investigators. I didn't know much about paranormal investigators, And but it was my mission at that point to see what's going on here because I can't explain it. My wife can't explain it, and the abnormal's happening here. And that's when I started to do my own homework and have teams come here. And that started in I'm sorry. There's something down here, but that started
starting to affect your energy.
Yeah, I just seen something crazy. It started, so it's obviously watching me. It started in 2013. For the viewer out there, whoever's watching this show, ghosts are real, and these entities are real. I hate, I don't want to say they're real, but they're real. I live this life. I have to go to bed every night, one eye open. They're real, and this is the life that we live. This is it. And for those that don't believe, this is why we have teams come here. This is why we try to get the most solid evidence. We tried. We didn't get the Holy Grail, but we're getting pretty close to it, And so that's where the story starts. And then it made itself known through the toys going off by themselves, the lights blinking, and then the aggression. A lot of aggression, a lot of negative energy, a lot of black shadows. And it started to slowly, I think, consume the family's energy and myself in a way where there's no batteries around, so now it's going to take from us and make us feel as if we're part of it. And Denise, that one portion that we're in the portal, and you were sitting at the table, and it says to my mind through mental telepathy, whatever it is, right? It says to pull out the other chair across from you.
Yes.
So we can sit. And I'm like, why am I doing this? It's silly. But I did, all right? I just did it. I pulled out the chair. There was the K2 meter on the table. And then what happened to the K2 meter?
Oh, my God. As soon as you pulled the chair out, the K2 meter was silent. But as soon as you pulled the chair out and the entity sat on the chair, the K2 meter started going off. It was just going off nonstop.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's no reason for that energy to be there.
No.
You guys, there was base readings done, I take it, prior, and there's really nothing.
I mean, we had before we opened up the portal room, it wasn't doing that. It wasn't until we got into the portal room, and when we put it on the table, it was fine. And then he pulled the chair out, and it started to go off. So there was something that changed, and then I was like, okay, that's weird. And then it's so funny because we had a REM pod. I mean, there was no camera because we only had one camera with us. So there wasn't a camera on the REM pod, but we had a REM pod right outside the room. And we were all inside the portal room. But it was funny because when we would ask a question that would cause like we would say, well, how many of you are there? Or when we would say, are you sitting in the chair? That's one of the questions that we asked. Are you sitting in the chair? And then the REM part started to go off as it answered yes through the box. And Chris was like, yes, it's it. And the REM part. So all these things that were, I mean, were they coincidences? Maybe. I'm not going to say, yes, it was. But it was interesting nonetheless that when we would ask these questions, and right as an answer would come through the box and say yes or whatever, the REM pod would go off. So I just thought, like, wow, that's pretty interesting that they're, syncing up together.
I got two questions for you, Phil, from YouTube, from Sam Ebersbach and Sally. Sally asked another question: why hasn't Phil tried to get rid of his attachment? And then Sam had asked, have you tried using some sea salts or anything like any other things like that to try to keep it suppressed? Or does not work?
It's all been done. Everything you could possibly think of, we've been through the whole 9 yards. Of course, we try to remove it. We're a family.
Right.
Removing the attachment after someone commits suicide back in 2002, as I said earlier, it makes you kind of wonder now, is it just because I was dealing with somebody who wasn't normal, or was it because the entity went after her? I don't have those answers, and I would hate to think that, or even believe it. But up until this day, so many years later, I have asked many of people to come here and put me into a sleep state where you could bring me back, and no one will do it. They won't do it. So that's the first thing, because I think what Denise said is, if I can get back there, I could probably get a lot of answers. The second thing is with the sea salt, the sage,
all that stuff.
This is not television. This is reality. And reality is, in this case, we've tried it, and it doesn't. Whatever's here is not afraid of religion. We've had everybody. I said on the previous show, we've had the Catholic Church, ministry, Wiccan, shaman, Reverend Deacon. We've done it all. I got the pictures all out there. We've done this all. It doesn't phase it. It doesn't care. It just doesn't. It laughs. In fact, I think it just plays hide and seek, and then it comes back stronger. And anything like we tried crystals, we tried Saint Benedict's metals, we tried the sea salt, we tried the holy water. It all backfires, and everybody
probably
gets
looks
sick.
at it as a joke,
Yes. So it's very malevolent. It's very strong, and I think that it's using me as the guardian of the property. I kind of believe that, and it's also using me as the conduit. Where I'm feeling its energy because I know what it was capable of doing.
Yeah, and here's another thing, like we said, it's using you as a conduit. I think one of the things that makes it more intense, if you will, or the activity is the fact that, I mean, and you said it, you've always had an attachment. You had one with you from way back when, and you've always had that attachment with you. I think then you go into a place like this, it's going to make the activity worse. I think that attachment's going to feel at home there, and they're going to feed off of each other,
I definitely agree. So I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
Is it healthy for myself and my family to live here?
No.
Why?
I feel like, hold on. I feel like, well, no would be the immediate answer if you just ask me no, because it's obviously affecting, it's affecting spiritually, emotionally, mentally, with emotions, explosions of emotions and things. It'll happen. Now, is it new to you? Is it new to your wife? No, you guys are used to this. Your older son, he's better now. I forget your older son's name, the one with the child. Yeah, and when I asked him, how are you? He's like, oh, I'm better now. He says he's better now. Like, he's gone through it, and I believe him that he's okay now. My concern, and when I was there, my concern is your youngest, and I don't know how it's been affecting him, or if it does, and so that's why I feel that there either has to be some sort of guard, protection. And I'm sure, I know, I can feel that even without talking, even if I had never talked to Julia before, I know that she does her way of calming areas, even if it's just around a person. Or so I know that she does that already, even, trying. So I think that that does help. But I think that's why I think it'll be healthy once it's stabilized.
Can I interject too? And I'm just going to play devil's advocate. Do you think that possibly you're picking up on the negative energy, and that's why you're having this type of feeling? Now, Arden and YouTube's kind of saying the same thing. She's a sensitive empath, and she feels it's not safe. Yeah, I think we all know that this energy is not safe. We don't want to hang out with it. We don't want to be down there. But they have found a way to kind of curtail it and stop it from affecting people, other people, and it's kind of like.
Yeah, we talked about this when I was at his house. I said, it's weird. And I told you it was perplexing to me. I was like, you all have found a way to coexist.
Exactly. So why put somebody else into that situation when they've spent their whole life trying to figure this out and are probably the closest to trying to figure it out?
And they've made a purpose out of it too, helping others. And I said that on my live stream. Now, would I want anyone there? He's asking me my honest opinion.
No, I know. I'm just trying to play. Me as a paranormal investigator, I want to know the answers. If I've spent this much time into trying to figure it out, I'm not just going to give up and leave. And then
what would I do? I would say nobody. But I also, and I said this earlier on my live feed when I was promoting the show. I said I really admire Phil, Julia, the family, the way they've come together, the way they've coexisted, and how they've used this something terrible, something frightening, something tormenting. They have found a way to take it, use it, and do something good with it.
Yeah, and you said that to me after the show when we got off the air last time, how you loved how they did that, how they turned it into something positive.
Yeah, they turned it into something positive. They have, and I told them that too. I was like, wow, now, and especially now that I got to know them and I know the kids, and what would I want to do? I want to protect everyone. Say, okay, well, get out of here. But I even told Klaes that I know it's not that easy. It's not that easy. This is your home, But you've already found a way to coexist with it, and I agree with Dan. What do I feel would keep you guys more safe? And I think, more research. I know it sounds crazy. Hear me out. It sounds crazy. Why would Dee say bring more people if the house is feeding on people? Yes, it is. But what would keep you guys more safe? More research. Why? Because it wouldn't only be feeding off of you guys now. And I mean, it sounds crazy, but in a way, it's like you all are helping. It's an exchange of energy. You guys are helping other people, so why not other people come in and help you? You know what I mean?
Well, there's gonna be somebody out there that can give you guys the answer. There's got to be either you're going to figure it out or somebody's going to figure it out, and eventually you'll get to take care of it. Hopefully. Mm-hmm. I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, you'll probably go to your grave trying to figure this out. So, I don't know. Do you want to leave, Phil? Do you want to leave? I mean, or is this something that you're kind of obsessed with and you want to continue to figure out? I mean, ultimately, that's
it's a toss up. It's really a toss up. Because after that day, when Denise and Chris and the team were here, for the next 3 days, we had no energy in us.
Right.
And I was going to talk to you about that, Denise. We had no energy. We barely could move. We were drained so bad. And what Denise is saying is right. Is that if you have people here to investigate for research. In one way, it's draining them, and the other way, you're getting your some answers. You're getting closer to it. It's kind of like yin and yang. It's good and bad at the same time to do that. But how do you get the answers you want? How does a astronaut get the answers he wants if he doesn't go to space?
Right.
He's taking a risk. So this is a risk. This home is a risk, and there are physical effects that we do feel. There are physical effects. It's not just mental, but it's physical as well. And sometimes I think it's the impression of other things around here that are trying to make us feel these things. Not healthy, sickly, things to that nature. And then, the best medicine is I know how to fight through this, right? Positive music,
Mhm.
positive reinforcement. Get out there, get some fresh air, and don't. Once it's there, you can't keep feeding into it. You got to break that mind chain, go to a different frequency, and just totally change the channel on this thing. Otherwise, it starts to slowly consume you. Denise, if
Uh-huh.
I guarantee you that if we were all in that portal till sunlight,
Uh-huh.
um, I can almost guarantee that we would have gotten very close to something that we might actually label it. It is what it is, and whoever else is trolling around here. Because I know there's multiple things around here, and I was going to
There
ask you that.
is.
How many things do you feel like we're dealing with?
You definitely have some wandering spirits coming in and out. I felt that in the living room upstairs. I felt wandering spirits coming in and out. I felt I felt the presence of something that was on top of the banister. And it was funny because I said, what's with the stairs? And both you and Julie were like, she picked up on it. And I was like, I knew there was something. And I picked up on it, and I went and I stood exactly on that spot where you said that it was. And that's what I felt there. I feel that your dog shouldn't be out there because it tries to torment your dog. I think you should definitely bring the dog inside your bedroom. I feel that you've got that energy. You've got several just coming in and out, just there in the living room. You've got that main intense energy in the basement and the portal room, and there's something with the ground. It's when I focus on that, there's definitely something with that ground. Now, can you coexist? Yes, but it's gonna take a lot of things that you're gonna have to do, and it may not alleviate 100% everything right off the bat, but eventually it's kind of like when they say, okay, you got to start taking this vitamin, but it takes about 2 weeks before you start feeling that vitamin is working, because you got to have it in your system for a couple, for so long, and then you got to keep taking. Well, this is what one thing, and it keeps coming to me. There's a certain way, and I'm getting closer to it, and like I said, but I know it has to do with offerings and appeasing that entity. No, don't worry, people. I'm not saying he has to do sacrifices. That's not what I'm feeling.
Yes, you were completely saying that.
But I do feel that it has to do with peace offerings, things that need to be tended to. I don't know if it's going to take an altar space, something that just has to be cared for and tended to.
You don't know what you're dealing with. You don't know what you need to bring in to deal with it. So maybe, have you ever tried bringing in some type of somebody from maybe a collective group, maybe from all different types of religions, all different types of beliefs, pagan, whatever, to see if they all teamed up on it, if that may change something there?
Yeah, we've had that actually, because that was one of my
have?
first thoughts is have somebody who studies multiple religions and
Or not one person,
they
but
just
I'm
couldn't.
talking about like multiple people that study, like each one an expertise in their own religion. Not,
Yeah, we've done it.
you
We've done it,
have.
and it just couldn't be identified.
What the hell?
It's like a big mess.
What
It just
the hell?
Interesting question here from Sharon Stone. Says,
Whoa, Sharon Stone's listening to our show?
No, her
Is it
name's
the Sharon Stone?
No, not the Sharon Stone.
Are you sure? Maybe she wants to do the movie The Horse Cry Chronicles.
She says, but how can you coexist with evil? See, and that's the question, because we know what we feel down there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like So that's why my first instinct is, I think
It's
you
abated
can
abated to the basement though. It doesn't come upstairs. Does it affect you upstairs in the house, or is it just when you go down there into that room?
It's everywhere, but it's more intense downstairs. And my answer to that is this: I don't think anyone should or can really coexist with evil when you think of it as evil. It is what it is, yes. But when you tell your mind, okay, I'm going to try to look at this a different way and look at it as energy. Everything is energy.
You have to call it what it is. It's a negative energy.
Yeah, energy as a whole. Now, there's all types of energies. You've got good energy, you've got bad energy, you've got, and it's a balance. And everybody, we all have that duality. I'm not all light and good. I mean, we all have both. All of us do. Everyone has a little bit of both. You've got, because otherwise we wouldn't be balanced and we wouldn't be whole, correct? So when you're dealing with a big, huge amount of evil, dark energy, you have to find a way to stabilize it and to feed it something. So I think we're getting closer to the answer here. It's like mixing something into that to maybe stabilize it, to overcome it. And it sounds so cheesy, but you beat it with love, right? Now, but that's what it is. So we hate, love, okay, we're just dark, light, but it's two separate things, two opposites. If you have too much of one thing, you've got to stabilize it by putting in more of the opposite, correct? And I'm sure you've been told this, and I'm sure you've tried this, and somehow, some way or another, it hasn't worked. But I do honestly, and this is my true vision and thought, is I do feel you are getting closer to figuring it out. Because I'll tell you what, I guarantee you, 7 years ago, had you had an intense investigation like the one we did, you would have been more than just drained for 3 days. You would have had shit going on there, things growling and scratching on the doors, but there was less of that, and it was just draining your energy. So I kind of feel like with all these people showing care and wanting to go in and help and not provoking and doing things in a balanced way, it's getting less and less powerful. It's trying to trick you into thinking that it's not, but it is getting less and less powerful, because I honestly do feel that there's less negative energy there now. It wants to appear as though it's a facade. It wants to appear as though it's just as strong, but I really don't think it is now. Okay. I'm not saying that there isn't anything there. I'm just saying that I think 7 years ago, he probably would have had scratching on the wall and growling, and I believe it because I see it. I feel that it's that, but it's also more people are becoming aware of it. Kind of, and I hate to describe it like a movie, but kind of like the movie It, like that entity. Yeah. Like when people knew about it, it would get scared and it would try to hide and it would become weaker. I think that's how you beat this thing.
Let me ask you this. Now, there's a lady that goes by the name of Southern Comfort Beach on Periscope, and she's kind of brought up. She wants to know, Phil, can you move the house, or do you think this may be something that would follow you wherever you go? Do you think this could be, again, just to add on to that even more, do you think this could be your attachment that by moving in this house you gave it energy and maybe it just exploded? That came from Sam over on YouTube. So, I mean, all these thoughts are kind of going around in my head of possibilities. Have you thought of these before? Or is this, because they're coming up with some good questions,
Whatever was here was here.
Okay.
I'll give you an example.
So you don't think this is your attachment at all?
This particular thing, no, this is totally different.
If you were to pick the house up and move it somewhere else, do you think this would stay there, or would it go with the house?
I think it would be just attached to the land.
Okay, so you feel that it's there, that it's attached. You feel more that it's attached to the land than the house. That it was there. You just happened to build a house on top of something shitty.
I believe it's been here. In 2009, we lived in a different part of Pennsylvania. We did not have one paranormal occurrence. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Up until we came to this home.
Wow. Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's probably is the land. I mean, the unfortunate. Yeah. Do any of your neighbors experience anything like this that you know of?
We don't talk.
You don't talk to them.
No, not about this. That's one of those things where
you don't go have a beer around a fire and say, "Hey, anything crazy happen in your house?"
Yeah. Show me the ghost, right? Show me the ghost. That's what people would say. It's
you don't
it's
want
irrelevant.
You don't want people to start painting pictures either, or saying weird things.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Denise, I want to ask you a question. You've been to the Hinsdale house, correct? Mm-hmm. Which I want to go. I'm really looking forward to going there. And you've been to the Horsefly Chronicles home. And you're a medium with a lot of abilities, and you've proven that here. So can you tell me the difference of the two?
Um, the difference of the two, there's definitely less oppressive energy at Hinsdale. Um, but one thing I picked up by the energy at Hinsdale is that something there definitely does hide and is better at hiding. And I don't know if that's because, yeah, it definitely does hide there. But it's less oppressive. I definitely felt more affected at the Horsefly Chronicles home. In your home, I felt more affected. I felt more, oh gosh, there was just I had a knot in the pit of my stomach the whole
Just
time I was
by
there.
just by listening to you two talk, I can tell that that's more of a single energy at your house, Phil. Whereas the Hinsdale house, it's a whole lot of other energies, a bunch of them. This
Yeah.
one, the oppressive one, comes and goes. It's not there all the time. Yours sounds a little bit more, I don't know, stuck in one spot, like it doesn't want to leave, or it feels comfortable where it's at. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and you know where I was going with this? Where I was going with this is, you go to Hinsdale House, it's a haunted home, right?
Hmm.
Why is it there? Why does it still want to remain there? And why does this thing still want to remain
Right.
there?
Good questions.
What? Yeah, and what is it? Right? I mean, the house is made out of wood, sheetrock and all that stuff. But why is it there? In your location, my location, why does it choose not to leave these locations and stay there?
Right. Good. That's what we're trying to figure out, or at least I know I am. I'm sure you'd like your answers as well. You know.
Yes. Yes.
So.
Yeah. And one thing here's the interesting part that both houses have in common: failed exorcisms. Failed exorcism, both of them. I mean, the failed exorcism at Hinsdale, 3, and your house failed house cleansings.
Many
failed.
of them.
It's like
Many.
it definitely, yeah. There's definitely something that it's the land. I feel like there's got to be a different approach to stabilizing. That's just my theory.
Well, we've had some success at Hinsdale pushing back some oppression with shaman and on the outside with the land, and really connecting with the Indian spirits on the property. And I don't know that you could do that where he's at, because it's kind of a different situation. You're more
It's
of in
a
a
different
neighborhood.
situation.
You're in a neighborhood where you have neighbors that you can walk to their house. Hinsdale's just hundreds and hundreds of acres of property with nothing around it. So it's not like you can. You have to. There has to be different approaches taken. With both situations.
Yeah, definitely. And there's just I do want to say, to people that are listening and watching, there definitely is something going on there at the Horsefly Chronicles house.
Is that
I went in there with,
is that your conclusion?
no, I'm just because people are asking over and over. I've seen some questions go through that are saying, "Is it really there? Or was it because I?" No. I didn't go in there thinking, "Oh, it's no." I went in there with an open mind, with a clear mind, not wanting to know too much of the place. And I didn't know. That's why when I was doing the walkthrough and I was talking and voicing, and afterwards he was like, "Wow, everything you said is right." I didn't know anything about the place. It's there. I feel things, and maybe people think I'm crazy, but I really do feel things. I sense things. I walk around and I can feel it. The energy speaks to me. It talks to me. And everything that I was saying as I walked around afterwards, Phil was like, "You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what it was." And I do want to say it's not in any. I mean, how can it be? How can it be in my head and Phil's head and Chris's head and his children's head and his wife's? And other people that have gone there that experience something, it definitely is something real that's there, and it is not a pleasant. Let me sit down.
Not somebody you want to have a picnic with.
Yeah, no, it's not. This is something that it will affect you, and it will affect you, and it knows who it can affect, and it will have a strong effect on you if you're not careful. So
yeah, Karen, I asked that question maybe before you got on the show, but Phil doesn't really talk to his neighbors too much about that type of stuff. She just asked about the neighbors' experience, anything, but it's I don't know. I definitely want to come. I definitely need to go there. I need to feel the energy that's in this house. I want to feel what the similarities are and what the differences are. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like how I feel, right? Like I live here, but I want to go to Hinsdale
Yeah.
to feel, Denise, do you think it's? I want to ask you this, Denise. You had said earlier before we started the show about nightmares.
Oh, yes. Okay, so before I got there, I had some strange dreams, and I thought, okay, this is just my guides warning me, telling me to protect myself, take caution, and so that's one of the things that I was having, and I thought, okay, I always know the difference between when it's just my mind, my anxiety giving me a dream, or when it's an actual message. I just always feel it. I can tell the difference. And these were definitely messages. But what happened afterwards when we got back here, I had a few things happen. And it was crazy, too, because we got back here and everything was fine the first week when we got back. It wasn't until the second week of being back home when I started to notice things around that. It took a while, and I thought immediately I recognized and I knew, this feels a little bit similar. And I thought, I never felt like I had an attachment or like Chris had an attachment. I just felt that this thing, I'm going to sound like a crazy person. But
they keep saying, Denise, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. Everybody's saying that in chat rooms.
This thing, how can I explain it? Not so much, I don't know if it's like traveling through the mind, and that doesn't mean that it's all in my mind. But it knows. It's got a way to peer into somebody else's life and affect their environment. And I felt it because I knew it was that, and I knew, wait, but you're not part of my home. And when I would make that realization, it would dissipate, but then I'd be doing something else. Like, for example, I would be blow drying my hair, and I would, lights would flicker. And I'm like, okay, the lights don't flicker here. But one of the things that really freaked me out was when the TV in my room, and this never happens, and it hasn't happened since, started turning on and off on its own. And I was blow drying my hair. I was like, why is it doing that? So I turned over, and I was by myself in the house when that happened. I turned around, and I looked into the room, and I said, hello? I went like that. And right when I said that, Chris's computer that was on sleep mode, and computers, they only go off of sleep mode if you mess with the mouse. So I said hello, and his computer went off of sleep mode, and I was like, nobody touched the mouse. And I said, okay, just ignore it. It's all fine, whatever. So I went, got my remote, turned off the TV, went back, continued to blow dry my hair, and it happened again. Then I heard a banging in the kitchen. And I'm by myself this whole time. Then I really did. I will admit, people, Dee got scared. I did. And it was funny because Chris tells me, why would you get scared? We do this for a living. Because I didn't expect it in my house. So I hear banging in the kitchen, and he wasn't at home. So immediately my first instinct was to call him on speakerphone. So I'm walking to the kitchen to check out where the bang is coming from. And I called Chris on speaker, and I have him, I'm like, something's in the house. And when his voice came through, the energy just went, like it went away, like it hid from him. And I'm like, okay, it's gone. And I walked into the kitchen, and the cabinets were open, and I hadn't left them open. So then I closed them. And then I went back into my room. And when he got home, he's like, why are the cabinets open? I was like, I just closed them. And he had to close. So that day it was like almost like being mischievous, like poltergeist. It was acting like a poltergeist, like that mischievous type of, I'm going to do these little things and then it went away. But the dreams I was having were, and here's another thing. You told, no, because this is where I was like, whoa, okay. I felt like I was in a horror movie because it didn't just happen to me. It happened to Chris. Before this happened, Phil, I saw a weird fly. A weird, strange fly. I had never seen one like that before. And we have some strange bugs in South Texas. But this was a weird fly that had like green eyes, and it was staring right at me. And it was on the other side of the window. And I pointed it out to Chris. I said, I went, a fly. He was like, what is that? That's not a fly. I'm like, it's a fly. And then it was gone. Then it was just gone. It was in the house, but then it just wasn't in the house. And then a little bit later, we had all that activity happen. So then again, we saw another one in the car. And then that night I had this weird dream about where I was trying to go down a long hallway and there was a door that we couldn't open, and then I realized it was a portal room in another place, and I remembered that we weren't supposed to open it, but it was weird because you weren't there, Phil, but you were there in my head, if that makes sense. And that somebody's like, don't open the room, don't open the. Chris was not with me either. It was just me, and I was like, why not? Let me go in there. And then I remembered my own thoughts, like, no, don't go face to face with it. So I left it alone. It was kind of trying to trick me, like it did back at your place, where I was like, I want to stay in here. Because I was walking down the long hallway and I was like, oh, it's no big deal. It's a portal room. And I was trying to, and then I thought, no, something kept telling me, don't open it, don't. And then I woke up and I was like, there's that portal room again. So that was the weird dream I had. And it was after I had seen a fly. And then we had this disastrous thing happen, which, I know this is going to sound funny. And this is going to sound like some people are going to think that now I'm just like looking at every little thing, but I do look at synchronicities. But the fly, man, the fly is what makes it strange. Okay, I'm big on synchronicities, and this is going to sound like a horror movie thing, but this really did happen. And afterwards, I went back and I put the pieces together. I said, you know what? It was my own fault because I feel like my angels were trying to give me signs and I didn't see them until after. So, but I was still protected, and it was weird. Okay, I see a fly in the car, again, same fly, and Chris notices it this time, and he says, look at that fly. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay. So I start calling on Archangel Mike. I said, protect us. It's nothing, something. We're going to be fine. And then I turn, and now this part that happened it made sense to me afterwards, but I saw a truck driving with a bunch of chickens, obviously going to slaughter, I guess, or something, but they were like in bad condition and the feathers were flying, and I was like, ugh. I said, oh my God, those poor chickens. I remember saying, it makes me not want to eat chicken anymore, right? And we kept driving. So later on, we stop and we go eat at an Applebee's. And what did I order? Idiot, I ordered chicken, right? Chicken Parmesan. Well, halfway through, it tastes disgusting. And I'm like, why does this taste like this? And then I noticed that it's like bloody. And then I look at it and it's raw. Why? Like, when does that ever happen? Completely raw chicken served, when does that ever happen? And I realized I ate this chicken. I'm going to be sick. I did it. I don't know how. I must have like a stomach of like.
Well, yeah. I mean, you live at the Mexican border. I mean, you have a stomach of steel.
There you go, right? So,
all those spices, tacos at midnight. I mean, geez.
Yeah, I have a strong stomach.
Yeah.
So this happened, and Chris is like, "Oh my God!" So afterwards, we leave the place. I was freaked out. Chris had some raw chicken too, unknowingly, and then we're freaking out that we're gonna get sick. Thank God we didn't. But afterwards, I was looking at everything that happened. I thought, "Oh my God, we saw a fly," and then I believe that was a message from the universe. That truck with the mistreated chickens that makes me not want to order chicken. That was until I don't eat the chicken. Like, don't eat. But what did I do? I freaking forgot about that, and I ate the chicken. And at a nice restaurant, raw chicken, what are the odds? They're going to cook, you know what I mean? Like, what are the odds? That never happens. Like, I mean, I'm sure it does, but I don't know. I just started thinking, like, I felt like this was this thing trying to make me sick, trying to attack me, trying to do. And then I just said, you know what? It didn't work. And it didn't work because I didn't get sick, and neither did Chris. And we should have. We really should have. I ate most of the chicken. But those are some of the events that happened almost immediately after we left your house.
That's interesting, the fly, because there's a book out there called The Curse of the Horsefly Chronicles, and it's about teams that have been here, and it talks about before, during, and after this investigation, and most of the time it talks about being the fly, the black fly, the horsefly, and again, there's flies out there, we all know that, but it comes in the most odd times, and it's as if you think it's looking at you, and then it's gone. Mm-hmm. And then things start to happen, it's so true, because it's like saying, I'm here. I'm watching your every move. I can't appear as an entity in front of you in that form, but I will show you through a resemblance of something that I'm watching you. And as far as the dream, I've heard that before. where people were going down the hallway after they left here in the dream state and wanting to open that door by themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost similar to staying in that room by yourself, you know. And Chris, you hit on something again, Denise, is that when Chris was here, he said it's hiding. He knows it's there, but it's hiding when he first came into the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you had mentioned to Chris on speakerphone, and then it
Mm-hmm.
just goes away. Maybe because it thinks Chris can identify 100%. Hey, I'm going to get you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to expose you for what you really are.
And he did say that he saw some holes in it. And remember, he did tell you, he said, I saw some holes. That he didn't want to talk about it too much. He didn't want to, because he says, you know, his theory is you talk about it in the location, it hears, it knows, and he didn't want to let it onto what he knew. And he did say, yeah, that it hides from him. And like you said, when I called him on speakerphone, it just went away.
Very interesting.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he really was the least one affected of all of us at the investigation.
Chris?
I know it affected Amanda, it affected, you know, I had that moment, but he really wasn't affected too much.
Well, he's also been in a lot of situations in the past that, you know, where he's dealt with this type of stuff. So,
Yeah.
you know, he's
Yeah.
very grounded in that way. Very grounded.
Yes, that he is. That he is.
So,
Denise, do you think that we're dealing with, again, could it be possibly Indians that were here before, like we talked about in the previous show?
Yeah, I do feel that as well. You know, when we were talking about that, I do, and that's why I asked, you know, was it, is there some kind of like curse or something that was placed on there? I don't think it's the only thing, but I do feel that there's some kind of lower energy that to them, it's all a matter of perspective. To them, it's a guardian. To us, it would be considered evil. That's why, you know, and that's part of the land. I do feel with your energy coming in there that, you know, being a conduit to the place, and then more things that happened in there or stirred it up more, you know. Yeah, but I keep getting land in the ground. And Chris kept saying that over and over. It's in the ground. It's in the ground. So maybe this is just Native American, just native, you know, from some sort of guardian.
I don't know. I'd hate to pin it on that, though, too, you know, like, unless you have the answers for sure.
Exactly. That's why.
That's where that was
Yeah.
that was a big thing for me at Hinsdale. Yes, there was a Native American massacre. Yes, there's burial grounds, but that doesn't mean that this is what's causing these issues here on the property.
Yeah.
Could it be part of it? Could it be a whole lot of things? Like, it sounds to me like this thing is a whole slew of things that can't be dealt with. So if you're bringing a shaman in and it's not effective, then maybe it has nothing to do with Native Americans. Maybe it has to do with something we don't know yet, or we have to try to figure out, because nothing's worked for him yet. Nothing's worked for me. So, except for little things here and there. So.
Very
People are
interesting.
saying in the chat room that the fly thing is scary, and yeah, it is. It's weird. That fly, I had never noticed that fly before, and 3 times now I've seen it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to you and Chris about that last week. You know,
Mhm.
that would be one of the occurrences. And again, it sounds crazy, but it's in, you know, people have said it. It's in the book. They said it. Everybody's not crazy. Everybody's not hallucinating. You know, it is what it is. You know, it appears to be what it wants to be. You know, I believe that this thing can shapeshift, and it's transferable energy. There's so many shadows down here that it's really, and it's a thunderstorm on top of it outside. So, joys to me. And so
Oh
it's
my
acknowledging
gosh.
everything. You know, it's listening. Like, are we getting closer to it? That's what it's trying to find out, I guess. Like, why we're talking about it.
Well, if you're getting closer, it'll probably start lashing out.
Ugh.
You know, I mean, that's usually what happens. But again, we don't know. You don't know what you're dealing with, so maybe it won't. Maybe it takes a different approach. So, but if it's demonic, normally when you're starting to get closer, get answers, or figure it out, it will start lashing out at you or people that are trying to help.
I do
So-
definitely feel like we're getting close to it. I honestly feel like that. Like we're getting closer. I do feel like you're closer to answers now than you were before. But strange as that is, it's strange because even though we're closer, I feel like there's even more questions now that we're closer, right? It's like, yeah, I'm closer, but I have a lot more questions now. Like, it's crazy how that works. But I definitely do feel that, and I feel like the reason why I feel this is because, we asked how was the activity? Was there? Yeah, there was things, shadows, and draining, but I was happy to hear that there wasn't more, things that had happened, or anger, or this or that. So it's like, okay, so then that means that maybe we're getting somewhere. Maybe we're feeding it more light, and that's what it needs. It needs to be washed out. It's crazy. I don't know. I keep getting these different visions, but it's definitely not going to be easy. Definitely not going to be easy.
I want to say two things that are very important, and I want to bring it out to the public. Okay? I realized something after he's left. You're paranormal investigators, right? And I live in this haunted house with my family. Well, this is what did happen. You know how when you're investigating, sometimes if it's a bad case, someone might get taken over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, 4 days after you left here, I was out working, and I was in a store, and there was this lady in front of me, and she was getting the ice. I was like, she was just taking her time. She wasn't moving. So it was a couple of minutes. I was like, you mind if I get some ice? Follow me on this because it's scary. And she turns around, and she's about 4 feet tall, and she gives me the most evil look. Evil. Like she wanted to rip my head off, right?
Wow.
And I was polite, and I just waited there. So then, when she was done, I got my drink, and then I waited online, and it was 2 registers. The other register was about 20 feet away where she was. She made sure that she made eye contact with me and gave me the most evil look, like she wanted to fight me.
Oh, wow.
But what was different about this was that it wasn't her. It was whatever we stirred up was using her to fight with me.
Wow.
A day later, someone had road rage, cuts in front of me, and gives me again that evil look. And what I realized is this: when you're investigating, it doesn't have to happen then when a person gets taken over. It could be anybody in the public. That this entity, whatever case you're dealing with, will use someone else as a conduit to fight with you, hate you, or try to cause a problem with you. Because it was the same look in the 2 people through the eyes, that same evil look. And I felt like it's the same thing. It's just trying to use them to give me a problem. And friction. And that's what it does. And I don't know if you ever dealt with that before, when you're out in the public after an investigation and someone just got an issue with you. And you're like, well, what could it be? And there it is. Its point is, you stir it up, and it's going to use somebody else out there that doesn't even know you, has nothing to do with paranormal, to have a combat with you.
Yeah. They keep saying that they're hearing a growling. Where's that coming from? My dog is asleep, so it's not my dog.
I didn't hear anything on my end. So.
No?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, I didn't hear anything either. My dog's asleep, so because they're like, I saw in there some people are saying, was it Steven? No, Steven's asleep. And I didn't hear anything, so I don't know what they're hearing. Now I'm going to be curious to go back and listen to the show.
Yeah.
See what they're hearing. Because everyone's saying, I just heard a growl,
We're at an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
I have to actually get running, unfortunately.
Yeah. Same. So,
I didn't even realize.
Okay.
I'm like, are we getting close to an hour? I'm like, holy crap, it's an hour and a half already that we've been talking about this. And
oh my God,
and the crowd's been stationed just like at the edge of their seats listening, so it's been really good. Lots of comments.
It's been a great show.
Over 1,000 comments between all social media platforms on this show so far. So tonight, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's awesome. And Phil, now I want you to let everyone know, first of all, about look. See, your wife is saying, yeah, it's on and off, not a constant growl. 3 times during the live feed, I heard growling sounds the whole time. I thought, oh, wow. So, yeah, they have been hearing growling. Okay. That's crazy. So I want you to let them know, first of all, about your book. Second of all, about the Horsefly Chronicles radio, the radio show you have. Talk to them about that, when that's on, and where they can hear that, and what you guys do on that show.
Sure. So the book, there's 2 books that are out. The first one is through adolescence up until 1999, and the second book is The Curse of the Horsefly Chronicles, which were teams that came here and investigated, and I just took word for word what they've dealt with and put it into that book, which there will be a sequel to that book following other investigators who have documented this case. Horsefly Chronicles Radio, Julia and I, my wife, had decided there's so much, we have so much respect for this field because we live this life. And we want to talk to people from around the world who deal with this, no matter who they are. They could be celebrities, they could be your average person, your average Joe, or people that are investigators, psychics, mediums, remote viewers. We want to hear everybody's input, and that's why we decided let's come up with a radio show, and there's going to be some celebrities that have nothing to do with paranormal coming forward on the show, talking about their experiences, because the truth is, to everyone out there, it does exist. You know, it's real. It's not that people are crazy or hallucinating. Ghosts, demons, entities, spirits, however you want to label it, they're real, and they attract themselves to certain locations, Hinsdale House, the Horsefly House, and other locations around the world. So when we try to teach people, hey, come and investigate, I'm just going to say this, that whenever you're doing an investigation, have the utmost respect. Just do that. And be very, very passive and ground yourself. Because if you don't, there's always a repercussion that can come back at any time. A month, a year, 2 years, 3 years. There's no time in that world. So it's not measured that way. And we have such a passion. That's why we came up with Horsefly Chronicles Radio, to talk about everybody who's felt something in all walks of life.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's important for people to remember when they're out doing investigations. It's important that you said that about staying passive, staying grounded, respectful. It's important, you know, it is. And that's one of the things we try to do. There really is no need to go in there aggressively and start demanding things. And we all know, I mean, the majority of us that do this, that's not our style. So I think it's important to say that. I know Dan likes to do that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Dan doesn't like to do that. But thank you so much, Phil. It was great having you on. Once again, thank you for allowing us to come into your home and investigate. And definitely, we do plan on going back. Like Chris said many times, this is just a preliminary. We want to go back. And he did say, guys, just putting this out there, he did say, and he told Phil this, that when he goes back, he'd like to actually sleep in the basement. I don't know if he's going to get any sleep, but that's what he said.
Do you think you could do that?
Yeah, I think we could do that. I think we could. I think we could. I don't know if this thing will let us sleep, but if we've got to stay up all night and document, we will. Maybe we'll be able to sleep. I mean, I'll do it. No, unless, who knows though? He did say maybe he wants to stay down there alone, and I'll be comfy in a hotel.
No.
Dan says no.
That's not going to happen.
No, I'll do it. I'll do it. I definitely will. But we do want to go back, and
I just want to have a live camera streaming on Denise while she's sleeping or trying to sleep. I just want to have like a big brother on her 24/7 to see what happens with her.
Well, speaking about the live cam, I spoke to Chris and Denise.
Oh, yes.
And Chris's better half called me today, another guy. He sent out a static cam, and it's going to be live in the portal when I have the courage to go in there and set it up. And Denise, can you tell us a little bit about that? Like how
Yes.
it works?
Yeah. I forgot to mention that we're going to be streaming a live static cam from the portal room. We'll be having that. That'll be streaming over on the Spirit Realm Network 24/7, and it'll be streaming so that you guys can go on there and see and check it out and see if you guys see anything, if you notice anything, hear anything. I have a feeling that we will be able to see some things. I mean, because some of the other locations where we have static cams that aren't this intense and this heavy type of hauntings, we pick up things. We have a static cam over at Ginger's place, and sometimes the door will close or they hear their sounds when it's empty. I just know that we'll pick up things in that portal room, and it'll be streaming like Phil says, when he has the courage to go in there and set it up.
It's funny, but it's true. It sounds silly, right? I won't go into that room, but yeah, I'm sure if I have a few people behind me, because once I'm in it, I'm like, well, this isn't bad. Let me just sit down in here. It happens to me, and then and I'm falling for it because you don't know how to think ahead of it, and then it is what it is.
Amanda's saying something in the chat room, and you'll remember when, because you have a camera already in there that's connected to your phone. While we were watching it, the motion detector was going off. So do you remember it kept saying motion detected, motion detected?
Yes.
The camera we were watching that you have in there already. So that's why I know that we'll definitely we'll have some activity. And so that camera will be 24/7 live streaming. And for you guys, the viewers, to go check out and sit there and watch and see what you guys catch. If you catch anything, screenshot it, or maybe download that piece or cut out that section, something, send it over to us, and you can watch that over on the spiritrealm.net, because we're going to have all the static cams streaming over on the network page once it fully launches, because we were going through a whole overhaul. But the launch is coming up ASAP, the relaunch. And right now, the only thing that we do have going on there 24/7, if you guys want to go check out the static cams now, you can. We have them going. There's static cams, Ginger's Place, Mason House. Got, they're going to kill me because I don't remember the other ones. But I know that Horsefly Chronicles...
Wow, what a good representative for the Spirit Realm Network. She can't even remember her own static cams. Damn.
That's Jim and Chris's thing.
She acts like she's been talking for an hour and a half or something.
But definitely one that we're so excited about.
We got that static cam at that Chronicle place. What the heck's it called again? That horse, that fly.
The flying horse house. What? No, yeah. We're really excited about that one. And
the Mason Chronicles, I don't know what we got. Just go check the damn freaking things out, guys.
But we're really excited about that, and I think it's going to be great, because it's going to give everybody the opportunity to take a little peek into what's going on at Phil's house and what we experienced, and that room. And I stress it like that room, because that room is definitely something. I heard stories from Phil of people that walked in that room and said, nope, I'm out, bye, and left. And it happened to more than one.
Oh, Denise, I want to say this. Do you remember what it said through the ghost box when it says 10 of us?
Yes.
Did you want to talk about that? And then it says there was 10 of them?
Oh, that's right. So we were there. It was saying there was 10, and that it wanted 10. And then people in the chat room, some of our, because we have a lot of people that watch the Ghost Box Chronicles, and some of them are very psychic and intuitive, and they were watching, they all started getting the same feeling, saying this entity wants 10 of you in there. One of our friends that watches from Australia, she said, Denise, how many of you are in there? She couldn't see everyone. So I went around and I counted, and I answered her in chat and said, there's 10 of us. And right at that moment, the box said 10 people. I was like, there's 10 of us in here. And then the box said that there was one for each of us. So
yes.
the
now
box...
tell me that's not scary.
That is scary. That thing said they wanted 10. And we didn't say, oh, let's all 10 of us get in here. That's not how it happened. That's not how it happened at all. It was at first just myself, Chris, Amanda, Brad, and you. And Julia, right? Yes. Which is 6 of us. And it was going to be just the 6 of us. And we kept getting the number 10, the number 10, the number 10. Nobody paid attention. And none of us said, there must be 10 of us. We didn't say that. We kept getting the number 10. Then all of a sudden, and we kept saying 10. It's saying 10. It's saying 10. And then the people in the chat room were like, well, 2 of them that are psychic were like, I'm getting the message that it wants 10 of you in there. Make sure there's not 10 of you in there. This thing wants 10 people in there. And a good friend of ours, Carrie, she's psychic. She's from Australia. She started messaging me. So then I answered. I said, there's not 10 of us in here. Don't worry. Because there wasn't yet at that point. But then 2 more people walked in. Then there was 8 of us. And it stayed that way for a while. And then 2 more people walked in. And it was weird because they were off camera. You could only see 6 of us on camera. The other 4 were off. So nobody could see them. But Carrie, my friend from Australia, she, as soon as the 10th person walked in, she said, Denise, how many people are in there now? Quick, make sure there's not 10. And I answered her, there's 10. And right at that moment, remember, Phil, through the box, it said 10. It said 10 people. And then we kept asking, and then Chris said, why do you want 10 of us? Why do you want? And there was 10 in the room. And then it said 1 for each, or it said something like that. I don't remember how it phrased it, but basically saying 1 for each of you, basically. And Amanda's in the chat room. She remembers that moment. It was really creepy. And it was shortly after that Amanda got highly affected, started getting very angry, and started feeling like she wanted to punch the wall. And that's when I said, I feel fine. Maybe each different little energy was making everyone feel something different, because Julia got very drained. Yes. And had to go upstairs. So yes. Everyone got affected in some way, shape, or form. Then, of course, it tried to separate us because it said, check on the baby.
Check on the baby.
Check on the baby. So your son and his wife ran upstairs to go make sure the baby was okay. And then Julia left with them, and then we all got separated. So it was...
It's interesting how that works. It can pull people apart as quick as it wants them together and try to isolate and pick out one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was crazy. So that was pretty intense, and that's not scary. I don't know what it is. I mean, yeah, it was crazy. But I don't know if you saw that, Dan.
I heard something.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about that?
What did I think about the noise?
Or what do you think about that story?
The whole situation was making me... Do you guys remember when you were talking about the 10? It was making me think of the TV show that was an offspring of Growing Pains, just the 10 of us. So I went and Googled a picture of that and exchanged the pickle picture for the show picture and put it in between us while you guys were talking about that.
Well, Dan.
I'm starting to get a little delirious because I'm pretty hungry.
Yeah, Dan is hungry. But Phil, thank you so much for being on our show today. It was awesome, of course. Great to have you. Thanks for letting us go over to your place and investigate. I hope Dan gets out there, because I'd be really interested to see what he thinks and what he gets and what he thinks about the place when he goes out there. So you should get out there quick, Dan.
I already have a funny feeling what I'm going to feel. So, but yeah, I definitely want to get out there. Yeah,
most definitely. I think it's important that you do. I don't know. I think you have to. I think you have to compare the 2 different experiences. And I would definitely, I'd be interested to see what you get. And so, guys, please tune in to Phil and Julia's show on Fridays. The horse box. I was going to say horse box.
Here we go. Mason House Chronicles.
The horse box.
Jesus Christ. The horse box? Horse box Chronicles. Are you kidding me, Denise? Horsefly Chronicles.
Horsefly Chronicles. It's Ghost Box Chronicles.
She's not used to giving props to other shows, Phil. It's she'll get it.
The Horse Box Chronicles.
No, Horsefly.
I know, but I'm saying.
I thought you were saying it again.
No, I was going to say the Horse Box Chronicles and the Ghost Fly Chronicles.
Oh my God. Whole slew of new hashtags we can start using, guys.
Don't get me started. I'll be able to stop laughing. Anywho, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, tune into their radio show, the Horsefly Chronicles Radio. There, I said it right. It's Friday nights, and it's on Paranormal King Radio, correct?
Nice.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
I got it right. All right, guys. Tune into that, and please, you guys do the same thing we do. You talk to people about their experiences. Tune into that. It's every Friday night. At what time again?
11 p.m.
11 o'clock p.m. Eastern. So there you go. And tune into our show again next week.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting.
It will be interesting. Tune into Phenomenon Encountered again next week, Tuesday, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow night, we got we got Box Talk with Mooney and Dee tomorrow night here on Paranormal Warehouse.
Sorry, guys.
And immediately after that, you guys know Knowledge from Beyond on the Spirit Realm Network Facebook page. Guys, check out all our shows on that Spirit Realm Network Facebook page. And we're out for tonight. Thanks again, Phil. It was great having you.
Wait, I'm promoing too. What the hell?
Yes.
I have one promo. Check out the Ghost Finders Friday night on VidiSpace too as well. It's going to be on at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. I will be making a cameo in that show on Friday night. Boom. All right, now you can hang up the phone.
Just cut Dan off. All right, that's it.
The hell, Dan doesn't have anything to say. He just wants to make fun of me. I need to get this show done.
All the important promos got out. Dan, all right, shut it off now.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys all next week. Thanks for tuning in.
All right. Bye, guys.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.